Hi, Take the Leap listeners. Thanks for putting Ashlan and I in your ears again today. Before we jump into this episode, we wanted to let you know that we've created a fun freebie just for you. If you've been thinking about launching your side gig or small business, we've got a free video training just for that called 9 Steps to Launch Your Business. You can sign up for that video now at www.taketheleap-today.com/webinar to get instant access. You'll also receive 2 free modules from our signature Take the Leap course. Thanks, and now back to the episode.
Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tori,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did. Welcome back, everyone, to the Take the Leap podcast. Tori, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Let's see. Daniel slept through the night, but he did get up at 5 a.m., like I was telling you earlier. So I'm like still tired, but I also kind of feel like I'm a little more tired than I should be because we actually did sleep through the night. So like I feel like that was a win in itself, right? But I don't know. I'm not a 5 a.m. girly.
Yeah. I know my
How are you?
my dog woke me, or she's just very uncomfortable, but she sleeps in our bed and she's just very warm. So I woke up at like 5:30 this morning too, because I was just like, this is uncomfortable. You keep touching me and it's too hot. And yeah, so I got up early, but I think I'm okay for now. Ask me in a couple hours and it might suck.
I know. I think after this, I think I might wrap up for the day.
Absolutely. As you should. Yeah. That is the glory of being a business owner. Because our brains will not
be
functioning at that time.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Ashlan, for waking up early with me in solidarity. I appreciate that.
Maybe it was just the universe being like, you guys can both be on the same wavelength. Well, I'm also excited because we have decided that this is it's going to be a big honkin' episode for you all. We are going to debrief our last 4 guests in one. And then when you hear our episode this Thursday, that is our finale for season 2. But don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging between season 2 and whenever we decide to launch season 3. We are going to drip out content. So you are going to get sound bites and mini clips and previews of what Tori and I are up to, including Tori's workshop. So if you want more Tori, come to her workshop. Get your marketing shit together. Get your marketing shit done.
Yep.
Get your marketing shit
Get your marketing shit together. Although, yeah, done is good too.
Done is good too. But yeah, I'm excited to hop into there and just learn and have honestly the time to work on my marketing, which Tori does help me with socials and stuff. So yeah, you won't miss us too much. There just won't be these longer episodes to listen to.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for a bit.
Yeah.
We're just going to take a little break and come back swinging with season 3.
Yeah. And enjoy our summers, dang.
Yes.
It is that time.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Enjoy summer.
Yeah.
It is summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yay, I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into our first. So we haven't talked yet about our episode with Paya, who was a returning
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Yes. So much fun. And, one of the things that we talked about, is about entrepreneurs creating unnecessary urgency and guilt. So Paya emphasized, unsubscribing from that mental clutter, simplifying your
Mhm.
tasks, and embracing the idea that nothing is on fire, especially since most of our deadlines are self-imposed and
Correct.
we're mean to ourselves when it comes to what we want to get done during a day.
Very much so.
So yeah, yeah.
Very much so. And I also feel like too, so I was thinking about this actually earlier today, even because I it's like my body just reacts. And
Mhm.
so it's sometimes it's not even like the client imposing
Mm.
this urgency on me. It's they're just sending me an email and my body's like, "Oh, my client's emailing me."
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
it is? Like I
Mm.
don't know why, but I'm just like, I must drop everything I'm doing right now and look and respond and get back to them and make sure they know that I'm 100% dedicated to them. And then I stop myself. I had to physically stop myself and say, okay, calm the F down.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
It took them 24 to 48 hours to read your last email and
Mhm.
you weren't upset about it. So take some time. Like it requires a thoughtful response.
Yeah.
It's not urgent and it's not going to harm their day-to-day business.
Mhm.
So just calm down, Tori. Anyway, that was me literally earlier today. So I feel like it's a constant reminder that one, you shouldn't feel guilty
Mhm.
for putting yourself first, having priorities, putting your business first, and figuring out what you need to do to prioritize your clients and your mental health and everything else you're balancing in life.
Mhm.
But two, might some of that guilt be made up a little bit? I'm not
Yes.
trying to say that you're making it up. I'm just saying that might some of that be a little bit self-imposed.
Yes. I mean, it is. And, it is. I've been trying to do that more because, like I keep track of like the stuff I want to get done in the day. And yeah, it's stuff that I would love to get done, but I've gotten better at being like, oh, it's totally okay if we move that. Or, like I think it was Naomi Hadaway who we had as like our very first guest of the season, who was just like, like our good enough is just good enough. Like it
Yes.
really is good enough, and and most of us who are especially like ardent overachievers, like I am quite the overachiever, or I'm like, hey, they said to get it to them by Wednesday, so I'm just going to send it on Monday. Like nobody expects that, and so you can give yourself a little bit more grace and not have to, always be on or be rushing to get through something, or just communicate and be like, hey, I ending up needing to sleep because my kiddo woke me up really early. Like, is it cool if I get that to you tomorrow? Or I've been a little bit frustrated with one of the boards that I'm on. I'm like, oh my God, nobody's reading my emails. And I'm like, you know what? I can probably just text people. Like, it's really not that hard to just like text them and, assume good intent and assume that folks are doing, or, are seeing it. Or I know I'm guilty of that all the time. Like, you'll message me and I'll forget to like message you back or something. And I'll be like, oh
Exactly.
shit, I let this go all day. Like, yes, gonna do that. But, more often than not, a lot of people are seeing things and are just not responding, and it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It is. It is. It's okay. I agree.
Ooh, this was another good one that we talked about, was about healthy client relationships are built on respect and
Mm,
boundaries, and needing to be willing to release toxic clients who don't honor those boundaries. So,
absolutely.
so important. Um, yeah.
It's just like any relationship in your life, right? Like
Mhm.
being willing to set boundaries with the people you love and your friendships, like that's what keeps you having like healthy positive
Mhm.
energy flowing through your life. And when you put that on your clients, not only are you able to produce better results for them and give them the work that they need, but you then create like this, I don't know, like I feel like we were talking about this where you're attracted to the people who, and the people are attracted to you who are the most like you. So if you're yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you have your boundaries, you enforce them and make sure people respect them, and you respect other people, like that's where the magic happens. That's
Mm-hmm.
where those working relationships become really powerful. And it's not, you're not going to lose. Okay, let me rephrase this. Losing business because you set a boundary to a client and a client didn't want to respect that, like, yes, that can happen technically and it can suck, but for the most part, I think you'll find that if you set boundaries, you're just going to attract and enforce them. You're just going to attract the right people.
Yeah. I was racking my brain. I was like, where did I just write something about boundaries? I don't know if I have told you. I have a client who is a therapy office, like a therapist. And I was just like, I
Yeah.
just was writing. Where was I writing something about boundaries? And even like in personal relationships, like we do a lot of, they're a BIPOC therapy office. So like a lot of what they do deal with sometimes is like family members not having boundaries and not
Okay.
respecting your boundaries, being like, I raised you and you should just come at the drop of the hat, or like, why are you not doing this? That's your family, that's your blood. And it's like, no, it's okay to have boundaries and say no to certain things, like, especially if you're super burnt out, especially if you know that, doing this one extra thing, like there's caveats to it, and you don't need to be always like showing up for a family when you don't feel like you can,
Yeah,
and I think
exactly.
for me, setting boundaries with clients and stuff like that, it's like you teach people how you want to be treated. And so like, I know I've talked about this on the podcast before about like, I don't mind giving out my phone number, you know what I mean, to folks as like a way that they could reach me if something terrible happens. But I'm also, I don't need to pick up the phone when the phone rings. Like they can leave me a voicemail, and
Right.
I can decide whether or not that's something like urgent or, important. Or I have some clients that like leave me voice notes, and they know that like I'll get to it when I'm in their work block, unless they
Right.
flag that something is urgent. And it's
Right.
never been a problem really. But it is reinforcing those things and not being like, oh, just this one time I'm going to step out of like what I really want to set as my boundary. That, I think that's where we have to be careful on the other end, is that when you do the drop everything thing, and you get people into that expectation of like, oh, well, she responds in like 2 seconds after I send her this thing, that becomes more problematic as well.
Exactly. Exactly. And that applies to family too. But the thing that I think about that, like, is just a good reminder is like when I was a kid and my grandparents had, like their landline
Mm-hmm.
um phone, and like they would screen our calls. And so every time we would call them, we would have to like start leaving them a voicemail if we wanted to talk to them, and that they would pick up. And like my Grammy still kind of does that to this
Mm-hmm.
day. And like even though like things like caller ID and stuff exist now,
Yeah.
which is really fun.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I feel like that same strategy applies. Like they were just kind of had this mentality of like, if it's someone I don't really want to talk to right now, or we're busy, or it's spam or whatever, like I don't want to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And they could like make that decision if they were eating dinner, like, they could just
Mm-hmm.
let it go and they could just eat dinner. Like, and I feel like having that same strategy to your clients, and like, just because an email came through, just because a phone call or a text came through, doesn't mean I have to drop what I'm doing and answer right now.
Totally.
Like, yeah. Anyway,
It's so funny that your
yeah.
grandparents do that, because I still do that with my like grandma sometimes. I'm like, Grandma, hello, are you there? because you just kind of like
Every
make it take long, and then
every voicemail's like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, are you home?
Yeah, and now she's
Okay,
gotten
I
into
guess you're not home.
the habit of like being like, why don't you just call my cell phone afterwards? I'm like, because it wasn't
Yeah.
that urgent where I want to like if you're out of the house, then you're out of the house. Then I don't really want to
Right,
bother
yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, or actually, I don't usually call her. I'll usually just like text her. If she doesn't pick up,
I do that with my
I'll be
Grammy
like,
too.
yeah, it's super cute. But I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that. So
It was really cute too when my Grammy first got her cell phone. She doesn't do it anymore, but whenever she would text me, she would say, "Hi Tori,
this
it's
is
Grammy."
Grandma. Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
She still. I think that's like an older generation thing. They always say, just like, "Yep, I
Hey.
know. You're the only one who texts from that number."
Yep. I've got your name and number saved.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Big yawn.
detour.
It's all good. Well, the last point before we move on to our next guest was we talked about how many entrepreneurs are either too exhausted or scared to launch new offers, even when the new opportunities are there. So she encouraged safe experimentation to break through stagnation. And I mean, as you and I are in the midst of launching new offers, I agree. I think it's great to test out new things or figure out ways. Like, I know for me, my motivation is that I have many clients who struggle with getting their stuff prepared for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So I want to build a workshop series that really helps with that. And for you, it's the same, it's a similar thing with like helping people get their ducks in a row to do their marketing, because it's a struggle if you don't have a plan or a strategy.
It is. And I think it also kind of speaks to the larger issue of like, the world is constantly changing. The industry is constantly changing. As entrepreneurs, you always have to be kind of looking ahead and thinking, okay, like, how am I going to respond to this? Am I just going to sit here and wait for the clients to come when they're not coming?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I going to be like, okay, this strategy I had before is no longer working for me. How do I evolve? And that's where like having new offers, launching new things, like, yeah, maybe they're not all going to be successful, but you don't know until you try.
Yeah.
And I think that is, in my opinion, the key to having a successful entrepreneurship style is to be always kind of thinking about, okay, how can I adjust based on the information I know now?
Yeah.
It's, you're never just staying the same. You're never just hanging out, like you're always trying to adjust as you learn more information.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll never know what works unless you try.
Yep. Yep. And that's to say, not every squirrel item and shiny object is going to be a key to success, but giving it thought, like the ideas are going to come, figure out which ones are feasible for you and your business, and go from there.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. On to guest number 2 that we still need to recap. So we brought Natalia back, and
another return guest.
She was another return guest. And I love, actually, our last 3 guests that we have this year were really, really deeply into this idea that community is so important. And I hearken back to what our theme was for this year, or for this season of the podcast, and it was all about building community. So Natalia talked about community being the antidote to burnout, scarcity, and fear. That connection and collaboration are vital, and not letting isolation and competition be the norm. And I think it is something that we heard from a lot of our entrepreneur friends who are on the podcast this year, about not doing it alone. and how important it
Yeah.
is to have people who stand for you, who want to work with you, who collaborate with you, and it becomes much easier going to do that. And just a small plug and a reminder, I mean, that is what the Take the Leap course and community is meant for. So if you want to come be part of this lovely growing community with us, we will welcome you. We would love to gut check ideas with you and support you as you journey into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think just to kind of reiterate, community, it's something we talked about a lot this season. It was our theme for the season. But I think even in other words, we talked about these same themes before. It's just that this year people really started to pay attention to
Mhm.
community and really started to latch on because they realized that now more than ever, community is so important.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for community, whether it's with us, whether it's with other entrepreneur friends that you create or that you find in your area, whether it's a book club or whatever it is, find your community, find your people, because that is how we get through times like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for times that you're dealing with hardship,
Hmm.
it's much easier. And then you also learn others who are facing similar things, potentially, things that they've done to try to overcome these challenges and to bridge through things together as well.
Yeah,
Um,
agree.
so Natalia was another one that we deep dived into the nonprofit sector about. She talked
Yes.
about how individualism and duplication are kind of harmful for the nonprofit sector, and that having shared infrastructure, having operational partnerships, and just longer term strategies for funding that could help smaller nonprofits thrive and focus on their mission. And I mean it's similar to what we do as a group together. I mean, you and I have been long time business buddies and partners in our work. We've got the Commonwealth, who listeners will hear much more about probably in our upcoming season as well. But yeah, having just shared tools and resources, sharing how to do things, teaching people how to do other stuff, not gatekeeping information, I think is so important for us as humans, just in general. Like, oh gosh, I don't know if I had told you, I just watched 28 years later, the like there was 28
Oh,
days and 28 weeks and 28 years. And it's really interesting to see like what has come together. So without spoiling it, there is like a community of people on an island that's separated from like the rest of the infected, and they all have things that they do. Some people watch the watchtower, some people go out and like forage, some people do this, and like again, the people who are gonna survive in the long run are the folks who learn to trust others, who learn to work with other people, and who don't be isolated and away from everybody as well.
I think that's pretty true for a lot of those like dystopian
Mhm.
situations, like and a lot of and like The Last of Us and things like
Right.
that. Like that's very true. So they're really really good examples, but it's also like in real life, like you see
Mhm.
it all the time. The people who are able to collaborate and trust other people tend to be more successful in many other ways. And if you're alone, I mean, nobody can be 100% alone.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
You have to have a community of some
Mhm.
sort. And I mean, even just like parenthood is another great example.
Right.
Parenthood, when you don't have that's why there are so many parents that are struggling right now, myself included, because when you don't have community, when you don't have the village that everybody talks about,
Mhm.
it makes life so much harder and so much more difficult. But when you have people who are part of your community, who are there for you and your kids, like it it just not only is it just more easier,
Mhm.
but it just makes life better.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So we also talked about with Natalia the corporate rainbow washing and capitalism
Yep.
that is
Yep.
undermining like work done in pride, work done in equity spaces,
Mhm.
and really, really causing harm. But what I thought was really helpful was she was talking about like an antidote, which is like naming this harm, saying out loud that people are doing this, and really promoting values-based leadership, more like long-term thinking, and building power from the ground up, which I know that she's doing a lot of great things to start that process in Portland. And I think the more that you can pull together like-minded folks, or folks who want to be solutions oriented, that have those shared values, who are willing to build resources but also share resources, the better off we all are going to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I had a thought that just
That just
went
went away.
completely out of my
That's
brain.
okay. It is all good. All right.
Oops.
Moving right along, we got a chance to interview Jessica Leilani, longtime friend and owner of Style Opal Media. And I love that, we had all of these different conversations with all these different business owners, but I think another big through line that we had with folks was just being your brightest and weirdest self, or how Ekman said, find your weirdos. And when we get to talking about Michael's episode, he talked about, being authentic in your business as well. So again, that your uniqueness, the special secretness that makes you, is going to attract the right people and really build your brand that connects with people. And I think we're seeing it, right? In like the crash of all of these like people who were, coaches, and all of the people who are like, I'm going to get you to 7 figures. And I think that's why
Yeah.
yours and my program is so big, so much better. We're not promising 7 figures. We're promising we're going to help you build a business that feels authentic to you. We're going
Yeah.
to talk to you about the tools and things that you need to have in place, the things that we've thought of and the things that we haven't. We're going to
Yeah.
continue to bring in, resources as we learn about them, to support you in creating that dream business for yourself, and to talk about the real challenges, and to talk about, the things you need to think about as you go into it. Because we're both really happy with where our businesses are, even despite the struggles that we've had, in the past year. But there's so much that you can do to educate yourself, to prepare, and then also be nimble in what you do as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to leave your 9 to 5 job, where for the most part you probably weren't able to 100% be yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
most people aren't able to in a corporate setting.
Yeah.
And if you're going to leave that and start your own company, you might as well do it by being 100% you.
Yeah. That's very true. It's so much energy to be somebody else, or try to not honor
So
your
much.
own values. And you slip.
Exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't feel good.
No,
At the end of the day, it does not feel good.
no. I'm sorry. I have Kiss of the Basilisk on my mind, and when he slips back to his like other form. We're not going to go into that, listeners. If you want to look up what that book is about, you're welcome to. It is. We won't go there.
No, that could be a whole nother podcast episode.
Yeah. I know. We need to.
One day we'll just start like a book.
I was gonna say
a
like a
side book one.
feral.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, here's what we've read and the complete
Mm-hmm.
unhingedness of it. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah. Another good point, which you and I completely agree with, being in marketing, that Jess made, is that marketing is about relationships and being social and showing up and being a real person on the other end. And I think, her advice of like, remember that even if it's like one reader, one person who is looking at it, that you are communicating to somebody on the other side. And I think that was just such a good point and such a good thing to remember, because I think one, people can really, really overthink it when it comes to their marketing. And then another thing is that like folks really worry that they're just screaming into the void. Like it is kind of wild. Like every time I look at like my numbers and stuff like that and my open rates, and I'm like, wow, people are really like opening this. You know what I mean? Like even if there
I'm
isn't.
talking to people.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a good reminder that you do need to stay like top of mind with people, because if you think about your own life, right? And how much noise and stuff that you consume during a day, but if you do get that, like that bright nonprofit newsletter, just like saying certain things, or y'all are listening to us right now, like hopefully we're brightening up your day or giving you something useful and tangible. At least we think we are at the end of the day, giving something useful
Hopefully.
and tangible. But yeah, that existential crisis, like, oh my God, we're doing this, we're talking to each other, but people are actually listening to us. It's a little otherworldly when you think about it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's such a good reminder. It's something I talk about all the time with my clients. Like, it's just like she said, just like you just said, marketing is about relationships, and that in itself, at the end of the day, you have to talk to your people. You have, however you do it, whatever that means to you, you have to communicate and you have to connect.
Yeah. Well, that actually perfectly tees up the last point that we made with Jess, was about diversifying your marketing. So like, while you don't need to be on every platform, you do actually need to do a strategy just being beyond one channel. So you can't only rely on Instagram. You can't just rely on LinkedIn. You can't just rely on, whoever you can talk to at your Chamber of Commerce event. There has to be other ways. And not only because people consume information there, but it's like you want to be able to show up in the places that your competitors are, that people are looking for this information. Like I think I've been hearing it less and less, but when Instagram first came out, and when Facebook launched Facebook pages, people were like, great, I don't have to have a website. And I'm like, you still need a fucking website. You do.
Yep.
Even if it's just like a simple brochure site, like it helps with that credibility.
Landing page. Yeah.
Yeah. It helps with people consuming information. It helps, like people are not going to consume as much about you on a Facebook page as they would on your full website.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah.
Also, I would argue that in most industries, people are going to get the best information on your website than on your social pages.
Yeah. Well, and if we want to go like more deeply, like meta with it too, it's like people use Google to figure out information all the time. You can do things on your website to get ranked in that, like I've been consuming a lot of like webinars and information about like how to get ranked in the Gemini, search results. Or, somebody had said it the other day. They were like, I think it was a major bank. It was a major bank. They were like, you also can't trust everything that ends up in that top part. So they're like, damn it, we're ranking for what are those things called? Safety deposit boxes. They're like, we don't do safety deposit boxes at our banks. But because our bank ranks so high in like the search results, the AI assumes that we offer.
Assumes.
So small caveat.
AI is not perfect.
It is not perfect. No, not at all. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Are we ready for our final? This is our final.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So it came full circle. I was really, really excited that we invited Michael Jonas from Narwhal law and business strategy onto our podcast. And so the story that I told, if you haven't listened to the episode yet, is Michael was there to plant the seeds of freelancing in my brain back in the day. I first met him when he presented on, I think it was just about contracts. This is how I got drilled in my brain. Like, don't do anything without a written contract or an agreement.
Yeah.
And I should go look for the slides that I know I still have somewhere from that presentation. But again, it was very, very nice to have him on and have him chat. And I think one of the nice things too is he shared all about how nonlinear his journey
Yeah.
to entrepreneurship was, including like taking the bar exam multiple times in 2 different states, and the experiences of like career uncertainty and job hopping and like moving back in with his parents before even, founding his first law firm and then founding a second one. But I think, stories like Michael's is why we exist on Take the Leap, is to just share
Yes.
that like your journey to entrepreneurship could start much later than you expect. It could, you could be retired and decide, hey, I have this thing that I really want to offer the world. Or you could say, screw it, I don't want to go to college and I'm just going to start a business. Although I would say, as somebody who has probably way too many degrees that she needs based on what she does this day, education still counts for something. But yeah, it's just nice to hear that other folks go through stuff and still manage to stay positive and optimistic about their next steps and stages in life as well.
Absolutely. And I like the way you said that. He's stories like his are the reasons that we have this podcast in the first place, because it's so true. And we've talked about this a lot, where most people aren't, trust fund babies with, their startup in their garage in
Mm-hmm.
their big house that they already live in, whether it's with their family or, it was already purchased. And a lot of us don't have that background, and a lot of us don't have the nest egg to lean on, when we launch our businesses. A lot of us are doing this out of necessity, or because we didn't quite fit in a certain circumstance,
Totally.
or because we saw a need that wasn't being met. So we created that solution and then are now offering that to the world. And I think more entrepreneurs are that way. They have their own unique stories than the really super successful celebrity ones that
Mm-hmm.
really had a lot of privilege to start with. And I'm not knocking their success. I'm just saying that when you're telling a story of entrepreneurship and of success and how you got to where you are today, and you leave out the bits where you were really set up for success from the beginning, that gives false strategies and encouragement to people who don't have that same setup, and their journey is going to look different. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs get really discouraged because they see these celebrity entrepreneurs and they're like, why can't I be successful like that?
Mm-hmm.
Why is my plan, which is basically the same as theirs, not working? And it's because of a whole different set of
Mm-hmm.
circumstances. And so I think the whole point of this podcast and just kind of what we do is to show people that everybody's story is different, everybody's path and journey is different, and you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to find the business, the plan, the strategy that works for you, I guess.
Totally.
And yeah, I just went off on a ramble there, but that's why we do this.
Yeah. I just thought of another thing too, because I'm obsessed with watching TV and TV shows. There was on HBO that show Mountainhead, which is like all the it's got Steve Carell in it, and I can't think of what his name is because he is in. What is his name? Anyways, the whole point is it's like 4 tech millionaire billionaires up on the mountain in Utah, like talking about their apps and all these different things. And I was like, that that grosses me out. Like that,
Yeah.
that, that concentration of power,
Mhm.
if you really want to get frustrated about like people in entrepreneurship being like, oh, da, 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 then that's what it is. But yeah, the majority of us, I mean, if you look about all the statistics about small businesses, like the majority of us won't get there, and
Yeah.
I know, like, I just recently joined a women's networking group that's all about like helping women get to like their first million, which, a lot of women entrepreneurs don't do in like a single year, and so um, I'd like to dream bigger, but also, ratchet it back with like, why do you want that million? What does that million do for you? How are you giving back? What are, like, what are you supporting with that? How are you living your values with that? Because like, there are some people who like make, well, we'll call Elon Musk out, like, oh, his stock was down. This man still has so much stupid amounts of money, and it's like that isn't my mental ideal when I think about making a bunch of money in a capitalist society. It's like, how can I give back? How can I support nonprofits? How can I support the folks around me? How can we lift people up to be even with that and get people, into housing and not living on the streets and not, stuck in despair. So
Exactly. It all comes back down to community.
exactly. Yeah. And caring about the people around us, whether or not we know
Yeah.
them.
Exactly.
But yeah. Well, that perfectly tees up the next point, was just that power of community. Michael shared about, he is not from Portland, even though he lives there now, but decided to stay there because of the community, because of it being values driven, because of it being people working together for better. And, that was just so nice to hear. And as I continue to try to grow, my community here in Vegas, and realizing it's different in different places. Like it's not that the value systems are different, but being in a place that is so transient, like people move here and move out, just like, I can't remember what the average amount of time was, but tons of people are moving into Vegas and out all the time. And there's a lot more, I think, than other cities, like a lot more part-time work, or a lot of folks like straddle like the entertainment industry, the travel and hospitality industry, as well as like other things as well. So the community is just built a little bit differently, and the way that folks operate are a little bit differently. So it's really nice to hear that, and to hear like the work that he personally is doing to try to continue to like improve and invest in the local community as well, because you do hear people getting like frustrated with their situation, frustrated with what's going
Right.
on around them, but like also like not taking action to make change. So yeah.
Agree. Yeah, that was really great conversation with Michael. I'm so glad we finally got to interview him. He's been in a lot of
Yeah,
Portland. I feel like the Portland business community is very
it's
small, and then the Portland nonprofit community even smaller.
Mhm.
But I feel like he's been a big name in it for a long
Mhm.
time.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and to just wrap a bow around it, one of the like one of the main points that he said, that again was echoed in so many of our stories in this season, was just the importance of being yourself in business, for doing things that feel right to you. That could be like in the way that you do your pricing, in the way that you map out your offers, in the way that you take care of your audience, to be authentic, to be accessible, and really not be afraid to challenge outdated industry norms. So like he talked about just the way that the legal industry is, where like every 15, one, having to keep track of all your time, and two, like having to bill people in that way just didn't feel feasible, where, somebody could
Yeah.
unexpectedly rack up, a $15,000 bill even before anything happened. And I really love the thinking through things being different that way as well.
Absolutely. Michael's great. All of our guests were great.
Yes.
I feel like I learned a lot
Yes.
this season.
It was great. Yes. Thank you to all our guests who were on season 2
Thank
with
you.
us. And thank you, Tori, for sticking with me through this crazy publishing schedule.
Well, thank you, Ashlan, for all the editing you do. And this has just been fun. Like, this has just been such a fun project. And I'm really glad that we're doing it. I'm glad that we're doing a season 3. I'm glad we're taking a break.
Yes. Oh
but we've just talked to some really, really great people. We already have season 3 guests
booked,
lined up and scheduled and booked, and we're going to try and get ahead on those recordings in our downtime too. And I just really feel like we're, I think we're amazing, but I'm a little biased,
right?
but I feel like it's not because of us, but like our guests, like the stories that they're sharing. I mean, we're great too, but like our guests, and the stories that they're sharing, I think are going to be helpful to other people. They're helpful to me, and I really feel like these actual real life normal people stories of how they started their businesses, the struggles they've gone through, the struggles they continue to go through, and the fact that they just keep showing up every single day is just really, really powerful. And I really hope that listeners feel the same way, because it's helping me.
Yeah. Well, it's much less isolating, right? When you hear about somebody whose launch flopped, or, they had to pivot like a billion times. Yeah. Well, not a billion, but, a bunch of times because of, things that changed in the market, or that it's okay to be burnt. Like, well, it is and isn't okay to be burnt out. It's okay to admit that you're feeling burnt out and to do something about it. And to really,
you don't have to suffer alone.
Exactly. That's such a good way to put it. So, while we will miss you all, listeners, if you have not listened to every episode, we have all of season 1, all of season 2. We're excited to bring you season 3. Let us know if there's any guests or any people that you really want to hear from in season 3. And of course, you'll hear from both of us. But to wrap up and put a bow on it, also, I also wanted to plug that our finale episode, which you'll hear this Thursday, is Tori and I sharing our Take the Leap stories.
Yes.
Grilling each other with hot seat questions. So don't miss out on that.
That was really fun.
Well. But yeah, that was really fun. It was really, really fun.
We recorded it in person, by the way. So Ashlan and I are sitting next to each other when we recorded that, and it was really, really fun.
Yeah. If you also haven't figured out, sometimes we record stuff and they don't go in the exact order that they were recorded.
Exactly.
It just happens.
Exactly.
That way. But to put a pin on today, I want to end with our favorite segment, which is, what is your win for the week?
Okay, so I'm taking this as a win. I'm very excited, even though it's not official yet. But I toured a preschool today for my son, Danny. And why is that a win? Well, first of all, she basically told us that as long as the spot does, in fact, open up in the fall, which she's 99% sure that it is, that we're welcome to take it. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get it. But that's a win for me and my husband, because we both work from home and we don't have childcare. And we weren't 100% sure if we were going to be able to get him into preschool this year or not. And it's looking like we might. And it'll be 2 days a week. And it's full days, like 8 to 5.
Oh,
so we're going to get full work days back, where we're not having 2 full work days back, where we're not having to like stagger our work schedules, not having to, like
figure it out,
start a project and then stop it and then start and then stop, because we're taking care of a kiddo. Obviously the rest of the week will be that way, but just for me personally, like, because my husband has that standard traditional 9 to 5 job, 6 to 2, but he has like the standard job that he doesn't get as much flexibility with. I mean, he works from home, so he does get a lot more flexibility than he would if he had to go in the office. But because of that, like, like his schedule always comes first, and then I have to kind of build my schedule around that.
Mhm.
And so I'm really looking forward to kind of getting some of that back. Anyway, that was
Oh.
my long rambly way of saying I'm so excited.
Oh, that is really awesome because, well, it's also just going to be good for Danny. I feel like preschool is very
Yeah.
underrated. Like, as it's such a great way to get kids like ready for
Yeah.
school. So
And it's
hopefully you can do a kindergarten after this that is full day too, because that's
yeah, that's what I'm hoping
rough.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're starting with 2 days a week, and then I figure next, because it's still a couple years out from kindergarten, so I figured
Mhm.
next year maybe we'd do like a 4-year program or a
Yeah,
4-day.
4 day.
Wow,
Yeah.
4-day program, and then hopefully kindergarten after that. So,
Ugh,
and
exciting.
it's also kind of wild because he was, in my mind, he was a baby yesterday, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah. I know, to just see how quickly he grew. I think that my most fun thing is he has words now, where he didn't
Mhm.
before. So
Yeah,
it's so exciting.
me too. I gotta stop saying fuck around him though.
Yeah.
He
You've picked it up.
he looked at my husband dead in the eyes the other day and said, "I want my fucking toy."
Oh. So
It's like, well,
my sister-in-law, they taught their kids like, so that they could swear around them. They said that that's only a thing that mommies and daddies can say.
yeah,
So,
we're
yeah,
gonna have
oh,
to
that's tough.
start doing that,
That is tough.
especially if he's gonna go to
Go to
preschool.
preschool. Yeah.
Teach
Can't
the other kids some words.
the words. Yeah. That's
Yep.
so funny. Either that or another friend said, you just can't say that around other adults. It's only said at
Yep.
home around us, and you have to use the swear word the correct way. But
Yep.
based on what you shared, he definitely did say that the right way. He used it the right way, I'm assuming.
Oh, he got the context.
Yeah.
He got that down.
I love it.
What about you? What's your win?
I actually got my butt back to the gym yesterday, and so
Yay!
yes,
Good job.
I'm really excited. My new thing is after whatever is my last meeting of the day, which this is my last meeting of the day. No matter what, non-negotiable. Put on gym clothes, go there, do my workout, come back, finish whatever it is. But yeah, and
I'm proud of you.
it was great, and yeah. The endorphins, man. The endorphins are good in a gym
help.
workout. So, yeah.
I always sleep better too on the days that I work out.
Likewise, I think so too.
Mhm.
And I'm not as sore as I was like super sore at the end of the day yesterday. I was like, oh, this is gonna be awful. I've actually been okay today, and I only had to take like the morning ibuprofen. So,
Good.
but yeah.
Yay.
All right, Tori, what
Good
is
job.
your do better for this week?
Yes. So my do better is it's a weird one, but I've been like, since I became a business owner, I was like, you know what I should start doing? I should start planning my workload around my cycle every month, because I know that getting closer to my cycle and like, at certain times of the month, I just have zero energy. I'm not creative. I'm grumpy. Not a good time to be talking to clients. And I'm not saying that means I don't work during that time frame, but I've been trying like really hard to remember to schedule appropriately.
Yeah.
And then there are some months where it just completely leaves my brain, and then all of a sudden I have packed myself full of meetings, face-to-face things, lots of like things that require like extra research and work, and then I'm like miserable all week long.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting that reminder of like, this is what I need to do better. Like, I need to start making sure that I schedule things around it.
Mhm.
Not necessarily like not working, just different types of work where
Yeah.
I know that I can be successful still, get my work done, but not necessarily feel like I want to punch someone or myself in the throat.
That's a good point. I should keep better track of that, because I know for sure, like, I have had the worst cramps sometimes, and I'm like, what the like, how am I supposed to see?
You're like in the middle of a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And be like, I
You're
want
trying to like be
Yeah,
peppy, and yeah,
totally.
exactly.
Or like, yeah, you're like, I want to stab my uterus and be like, go away. Please.
Yeah, it's hard to build positive relationships with someone when you're sitting there and like you're like, can you just stop talking because all I want to do is
Mhm.
go lie in the fetal position right now. Like,
Seriously.
so,
Seriously.
just stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your work on?
Sleeping on time instead of staying up late to read. So, as we said, been reading another
Yeah.
smutty romance book, and all I want to do is read it. And I think part of it is just like go to bed at the appropriate, like, I usually try to go to bed, like go lay down in bed around like 10. So I have like between 10 and 11 that I can read, and still get enough like sleep for work. But I've been letting things lapse longer, and I just need to stop doing that. So, and it's hard.
I think about the characters in my book when I'm working. I'm like,
Hmm.
what are they doing right now?
It's
What are
very
the people in my
true.
book doing right now?
It's very true.
Like I get really involved in a book, so I get it. But
Yeah.
my trick lately is just at night, not just like at night for bed, but just like dinner time, after dinner time, that time I put my phone away and I read instead.
Ooh, that is a good call.
And then it's like when I'm going to bed, I'll still often read for a little bit, but
Mhm.
because if I start the book at like 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, oh, just one or two. I can't just read one or two chapters. Like I know
Yeah.
myself, so especially
Mhm.
if I'm already in the book and I'm really in
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So that's my current trick. I don't know if that'll work for you or not.
Yeah. I did that with The Housemaid. I ended up reading. I think I started at 10 and I ended up like reading until like 12:30, and I was yawning so
Sometimes you
hard.
can't help it.
Yeah, I was yawning so hard, and I was like, okay, I can't finish it. And I actually ended up reading the rest of it in my co-working get shit done blog. And I was like, this is what I need to do today, ladies, is like finish the
Yep.
rest of this out.
Sometimes you just have to do that.
Yeah.
I've actually literally like had a book or my Kindle just like
Like on your face.
laying
Yeah.
above me, and then it like falls on me
No.
because I've
Mhm.
fallen asleep, and then I'll
Yeah.
like jolt up. I'm like, oh, that's a sign. It's time to
Yeah.
put this down.
Yeah.
I just fell asleep.
My husband has learned to like come and check on me, especially if he doesn't like come to bed at the same time as me, like come check and see if I'm still awake reading, or if he has to like grab my book, put the bookmark in it, and just turn off like all the lights. Very sweet of him to do.
That's very sweet.
But yeah.
Very sweet.
Well, okay, listeners, this is it. This is the finale before the finale. So we will see you again for season 3.
See you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us.
Yeah. And as always, you can always send us a DM on Instagram or hit us up at our email at aloha@taketheleap-today.com. And we look forward to you listening to our true finale episode, and seeing you back for season 3 after that. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.